Human Bomb number 2, written by Justin Gray and Jimmy Palmiotti, art by Jerry Ordway. Last issue, we had a whole bunch of people blowing up all over, I think, just New York. And this one guy named Mike Taylor, he can also blow up, but he didn't die. And also, he may be part of this. So we see him escaping the terrorist attacks into a diner where some woman inside named Beth, that I guess he kind of has a crush on or something like that, works. And he's just like, hey, do you have a cell phone? There's some crazy stuff going on outside. And she's like, all the lines are jammed, probably because of all the terrorist attacks. What's going on out there? And he's just like, okay, I'm kind of involved in these terrorist attacks, but I don't know how, and I kind of blew up some people, and I don't know what's going on, and I really need to make a call. And she's like, I'm sorry, did you say you were just involved in these terrorist attacks? And he's like, you're right. That's a bad explanation. I probably shouldn't be here right now. And then a car comes blasting through the front of the diner, and Mike just immediately reacts by putting his hands on the car and blowing it up, which kills everyone inside, literally eviscerates their faces. And he's like, oh, geez, Beth, did you see? Okay, she ran away. I think I killed those guys. But then all of a sudden the guys get out of the car and start shouting defuse at him. And he's like, oh, okay, you're still more terrorists. So he ducks and hides, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna do whatever I can to fight against these guys. And he picks up a salt shaker, and he's like, I feel like I'm charging the salt shaker, like I'm giving it energy. Let's see how that works. And he throws it at the guys, seemingly like a grenade, and it just explodes again. But this time it actually kills them. But as Mike walks over, he sees that they're nothing but like machine parts, and like their skin was made of silicone. And he's like, all right, that's weird. Anyway, I'm going to leave now. And as he steps outside, he's surrounded by police and Uncle Sam, as we saw last issue. And he's like, hey, Mike, I work for the NSA. And Mike's like, oh, you got to get away. I'm a danger. I'm a human bomb. And he says, literally, I'm a human bomb. And Uncle Sam just puts his hand on Mike's shoulder and says, sleep. And then Mike's unconscious, and they take him into custody. So he has a weird dream sequence where, like, he's in this suit, and he manages to escape from a cage, and he goes down the hall and sees a bunch of people being operated on in suits just like him. And as the operators notice him, they grab him, and his dream starts fading away. And all of a sudden, he shoots up in bed, and Uncle Sam, the entire rest of this issue, I'm not kidding, is just giving the backstory on everything that's happening. So I'm just going to, as best as I can, sum it up here. Uncle Sam's like, hey, I can help you to regulate your abilities, and I want you to help join me. The only reason that you survived what everyone else in your squad went through is that you had a metagene, and it activated when they operated on you. So you are able to survive this stuff. And he's apparently been here for a whole week. They purposely kept him comatose so he didn't explode everything all over again. And they have a woman named Joan who's going to help him through this. She has telepathy and a couple other powers they're not letting on yet. So at that point, Mike's like, okay, yeah, this might as well be happening. I'm just on board. Let's do it. Either I'm crazy or this is actually happening. Either way, I have no reason to argue this point. And they basically say, yeah, you were made to be a sleeper agent. Didn't quite work out, blah, blah, blah. So at that point, we meet up with Joan, and Joan's like, hey, I'm in your head. Also, there's this group called Crown. I'm the one who found them, and they are all about causing terror in this sort of way. So at this point, Joan immediately starts walking him through, like, let's talk about controlling your powers. Here's a slingshot. I want you to focus your energy in the slingshot just enough to give it, like, a little firecracker effect. Can you do that? A little firecracker when it hits the wall? And he's just like, yeah, I think I could do it. And he does it, and it immediately goes through like 3 blocks of concrete. And he's like, oh, well, it feels natural to me. Why does it feel natural? And she's like, well, you've worked around weapons your whole life. I guess it's kind of second nature now that you are a walking weapon. So then they immediately are saying, like, all right, here's the thing. We discovered the location of Crown once she deprogrammed all the brainwashing in your head. So we're going to go do that. And he's immediately like, I'm in. And they're like, well, we didn't ask you. He's like, all right, well, I'm still in. He's like, all right, fine, I guess, whatever. So they're flying to northern Quebec, where there's a giant crater with a lake in it, and they're going inside the lake. And they just keep on explaining what Crown is and like what's going on there. And apparently it stands for Combat Ready Organic World Network. And there was an infestation of them back in the 80s. And they get into a whole backstory on that, where apparently an alien ship flew over like a carnival in the 50s. It dropped a bunch of basically parasitic eggs that people inhaled. It turned them all into these agents of Crown. They tried to contain it, but hundreds of people had already left before they did so, and they've just been like laying low and laying down all these plans over the past like 50 years. And during the 80s, they thought they got rid of them all, but clearly they didn't. So now they've got them on the ropes, though, and this may be one of their last holdouts. So they go down into this place, and as they're making their way through, they hack into some keypads and go through a big vault door. And when they see on the other side is just row upon row upon row of humans in seemingly like a cryogenic sleep, and they're all labeled as human bombs. And immediately Joan's like, well, none of these people can be saved. We're going to have to kill them all. And Mike's like, excuse, I was saved. What if one of them has that metagene thing you were talking about? And she's like, there's no way of telling that unless we literally let them all live and watch to see if they explode. So, yeah, we got to kill them all. It's the humane thing to do. And Mike's like, well, I don't like it. I think letting them live is the humane thing to do. But before they can argue the point too much, they've apparently got incoming plastics, which is an entire army of artificial life forms, the one that he fought at the beginning of the issue, that Crown uses, and thousands of them could be coming through this portal to attack them. The end. That's it. There is no third issue. I'm kidding. So, I don't dislike it, but it is all exposition. Like, the fact that even when they're doing the plot, they're still expositing. They're still like, yes, no, because when I said that Mike said that he was in, the next page is him joining the mission. Like, they are on the plane to the place. And she's still laying out the history of this Crown. It's all exposition, even during the action scenes. So, do I dislike it? No. Is it probably necessary to have this sort of issue when you only have 4 issues to work with? Probably. Does that mean it's a great issue? No. It's okay. It's not great. It's not awful. It's necessary. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one I'll give it a 6.5, because even if it's necessary, it still came off just a little bit clunky. I think it could have done it a little bit better. Specifically the fact of, hi, I'm Joan. Here's your slingshot. By the way, we're going on a mission. That was like 3 pages. You could have expanded that a little bit and then cut back on the whole UFO at a carnival thing. So, yeah, 6.5.